Back in the day, Jeff Ward's little kid complexion combined with his hard-charging style earned him the nickname the Flying Freckles. But the hallmarks of Ward's career, remarkable versatility and longevity. In motocross, he raced a jaw-dropping 14 seasons and won 7 championships. He was first ever to claim the crown in all 3 outdoor national classes, 125, 250, 500, and he won Supercross as well. And when his long and glorious two-wheel career was over, he didn't retire. He just transitioned from 2 wheels to 4. Became a serious IndyCar contender, came painfully close to winning the Indy 500, and then made a motorcycle comeback in his mid-40s that earned 4 more championships in 5 years. And he iced the cake with short course off-road racing Rookie of the Year honors at age 47. Given all that, I can't wait to find out what Wardy plans to do next.
To race, you have to believe you're going to win.
I can't picture my life without drag racing.
I will do anything it takes to win at any time.
You didn't want me behind you when the 2-lap card came out.
Do the best every single time.
And that side-by-side, 300-mile-an-hour rock and roll, ground shaking.
One move inside, outside, and the game's over.
Everybody needs to have the feeling of the win in their heart, or they're going to give up and quit.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Hi, Jeff Ward. Welcome to the show. Been a long time. Great to see you again.
Yes, it's been a while.
So, can you just rattle off the top of your head all the different kinds of racing you've done in your life?
Well, started with mini bikes, motocross, of course, up through I was from 5 years old till 31 to 32 in supercross, motocross. Then I still had that passion to go racing, but I had a good friend, Paul Tracy, Indy cars at the time with Penske. Came to a lot of motocross races. I went to Indy with him, and I'm like, wow, this is unbelievable. He goes, well, why don't you just try to race? And I'm like, come on, that's out of my league, I think.
Really?
He goes, no. So he helped me get connections in the IndyCar field and got with the good Indy Lights team and raced Indy Lights for a few years. And then the IRL kart split opened up an opportunity to go to Indy. Went and raced Indy, and then when I was done with that, Supermoto was just starting out in the AMA season, and I went with Scott Russell. He called up and went riding with him. I said, this is so much fun. How do I do it? Went to California Speedway the next day, raced. And then I went to the X Games, got 2 gold medals in that, and then off-road trucks came involved because I think McGrath a couple guys were doing it, so let me try this. And like you said, I got Rookie of the Year. The one year I almost won the championship, lost it by 1 point to Renault Zenner, first year out, and had a fun couple of years with that. And now I'm kind of slowing down. I'm not doing so much racing.
So, when was the last time you raced?
Local, just motocross, Mammoth, motocross, Day in the Dirt. But
well, those count.
Those count. Yeah, they're fun. So it's this year, last year.
So you're still doing
I still get out
actively
at
age?
53. So.
No kidding.
Yeah. So.
It's impossible.
I still ride really well. It's kind of scary. It's a little scary.
So let's backpedal to 1971. On Any Sunday comes out, greatest movie ever. You're the little kid on the mini bike who does the endless wheelie. I guess your first time in the national two-wheel spotlight, many more to come. How'd you get that gig?
Well, it was a surprise, actually. I was out Saddleback Park where I ride every day when I was a kid. And my dad was doing trials meet there, and I was riding around on my 50 just burning laps because I hated going slow. So I was doing this thing actually in the movie there's a guy on a trials bike doing a wheelie standing up this hill, and I saw him do it, and I'm like, well, I can do that. So I started doing the wheelies behind him, and these guys were filming, and they waved me over and go, can you do that 5 or 6 more times? I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I did 5 or 6 more times. I got bored, and I just left. So then at the end of the day, and then the movie came out, and we went to the theater, and we're sitting there in the theater, and next thing you know,
You had no idea.
Had no idea. So it was like
Didn't sign the release.
No, we jumped up. Yeah, I should be getting royalties or something by now, but... So we stayed in the theater again to watch the beginning of the movie. So that's how it all began, I guess, and I became the kid on Any Sunday.
So besides all the success, which we'll get to, we'll elaborate on all the things you've already mentioned, I'm struck by the longevity of your career in general and the longevity with Kawasaki in particular. How did you know after 14 years it was time to stop?
It just kind of comes to, for one, it's got to be fun. And the fun comes from winning. And if you're not winning, then, it's not so much fun. But the injuries were catching up. I had a couple surgeries even that last year on my shoulder. And And I wanted to move on to something else while I still had a name, not drag it out too long, a couple more years, and that's when IndyCars was kind of in that last year of my career to see how I could get into it.
Before we pursue that transition further, which I do want to do, you rode your first pro season for two factories, Suzuki and Yamaha, then went to Kawasaki and never left.
Right.
That just doesn't happen. Besides all the championships that you won, I think it was, what, 7 altogether, what made that work so well for so long?
When I went into Kawasaki, I wasn't quite ready to win a championship and struggled a little bit, and they were there supporting me as I was going through that. And then when I was ready to win, the bike wasn't quite ready. I was patient because of them waiting for me, and it just clicked in around 83 when the bike came out and kind of matched my talent at the same time, and we started winning. And then from there on, it was just the people that were there, Norman Bigelow, Roy Turner, who was the team manager. They were like family by then. I didn't have a desire to get paid a little more money to go somewhere else because it was just a money deal. It meant more to me that these people were behind me the whole time, and I had no reason to leave.
Great piece of motorcycle history. We'll take a break and come back with more motorcycle history. The mini bike prodigy becomes the motocross to nations legend. We're talking with Jeff Ward, and we'll continue in a moment. Welcome back. We're talking with Jeff Ward. You were born in Scotland,
yes.
Actually. Moved to the U.S. at age 4. How did that come about? Your dad, I know, he rode motorcycles, but I don't know that I know the details.
Yeah, he raced motorcycles in Europe. He also was a pro soccer player, pro hockey player, raced the Tour de France bicycle race. So he was an athlete.
You had big shoes to fill with those little feet.
Yeah, and he didn't know anybody in the United States. Just at that time in Scotland with the war and things that were going on, just felt there was opportunity and just picked up the family and moved to Redondo Beach, Southern California.
Wow.
And, he rode trials, and the United States trials wasn't that big at the time, and there was a club that he started trials with, so I just started riding trials at the early age of 5 or 6, and just started kind of going from there with mini bike. There was no mini bike racing at the time, and he kind of started it with Ron Hendrickson out at Saddleback around trash cans in the parking lot, and then they built a track for us, and then we started racing, so it was
You were so successful in mini bike racing that I think we all thought you were just going to kill it when you turned pro. You said you were not quite ready to win. What were you lacking that you had to find in order to have all the success that you had?
Well, there wasn't really a path followed at the time. Motocross was big in the state, but there wasn't, Marty Smith and the guys that were popular, but they were just starting out as you can be a professional and make money at this. At the time, when I was on mini bikes, I never even thought of it as I could go pro and make a living at this. It was just you get to race the next level.
Okay.
So, but one of the holdbacks for me was I was extremely small. I mean, my first year on the Nationals, my license habit, I was 4'11", 95 pounds.
Wow.
So to move up to the 125s from the 80s, I was winning everything in the 80 class, and I moved up to local. I would get lapped by the guys I was beating in the mini bikes. So there was a big turning point there of confidence loss and trying to figure out how to get going. So I just worked harder and rode harder, and I grew enough to match the bike, and it slowly started coming around that way, and then learning how to train and kind of following in guys like Hannah and the guy Barnett that were men to me, even though I was not much younger, but still their growth and experience was way beyond my years, and it took a little while.
Then in 85 and 87, with a year in the middle, won two championships both of those years. You were just the top guy. Who among those guys you just named, or perhaps somebody you didn't name, was the toughest to beat during that period?
Pretty much everybody that was on a Honda was probably one of the toughest guys to beat, but RJ was kind of the thorn in the side. I'd win the Supercross, he'd win the outdoor. Next year he'd win the outdoor, I'd win the Supercross. So 4 or 5 years it was, who could make it through the season without getting hurt, or a DNF for whatever reason. It was that guy's championship.
The business of your size leads us right into the Carlisle Tool fan question of the week, and it's a celebrity fan question this week.
Jeff Ward, being one of the smaller guys on the circuit, how did you have so much success riding the big 500cc machine?
Well, the 500 was my favorite bike because, for one, I was a smooth rider, technical rider, and had great throttle control. And it was just a bike that you had to get the power to the ground, and line choice was key, and I was really good at both of those. So it was just kind of a match made in heaven. And once I got on the 500s for the first time, it was just from even when I rode 125s at the USGP Carlsbad. I qualified on pole the first time I rode it against all the top European guys, so it just fitted me really well, and just liked the horsepower.
You contributed, I guess more than anybody else, to America's incredible run of success in Motocross to Nations. 13 consecutive gold medals in the team world championship, if you will. Your personal record was 7-0, went there 7 times, brought back a gold medal every time. Nobody else has ever done that. In the Flying Freckle Trophy case, where do those medals rank?
They're pretty high up there because it's a super hard event. I mean, you can see as right now we don't win it every year. There's great riders over there that can ride those tracks, and the outtake it takes to get there, bringing all the equipment over. And back in even 83 and 4 when we raced, we ran 250s one weekend and 500s. So we had 2 separate classes, which made it even more difficult those years. So I just stepped up to the plate. I had great teammates that we all worked together, even though most of us didn't get along during the season. We went there as a team and helped out with everything to make it happen. I don't know, nowadays it seems a little more individual maybe than before. I just, maybe when I was born in Scotland, maybe if I feel at home when I'm over there. I just seemed to ride well when I was there, and we got lucky a few times. That always helps.
It was an incredible run, and we appreciate what you did for our team over there. Take a commercial break. When we come back on the other side, we'll talk more with Jeff Ward about his car racing career. Welcome back. My guest is Jeff Ward, who made a pretty impressive transition from 2-wheeled to 4-wheeled racing. We talked about the fact that Paul Tracy got you into that trouble. My question is, what kind of background or training or, what made you able to make that transition so effectively?
Yeah, it's a good question. I actually, for a Christmas present, I got the Bondurant driving school.
Okay.
I believe it was in 85 or 6, and I went there and did the driving and did fantastic, and they're like, you should race cars, and I'm like, why do I want to do that? I'm racing motorcycles. I don't need to race cars, so I did exceptionally. It was raining. I just had great car control. And
had you raced go-karts?
I'd never even driven go-karts except maybe at Daytona Beach or something at the place, but I met with Paul and went to Indy and just got the bug and just kind of found the teams I needed to get with. He had some good connections and bought my own Indy Lights car and moved forward from there.
Your IndyCar career coincided with the infamous split. 96, Tony George, unhappy with the way CART was running IndyCar racing, formed his own series, and you made your debut. Do you have a who's right, who's wrong view of the split?
I was so new in car racing. I was probably clueless of what's going on and why. I knew there was a tug between the speedway and wanting to be oval racing or back to American roots, but I didn't grow up in that, so I wasn't really too sure of how it was going to work out. I just knew I got an opportunity at Indy probably because of that, because of the seats that were open. I probably may have never got in there.
No matter whose name is on the sanction, CART or IRL, when you win at Texas Motor Speedway, it's something because you're way north of 200 every lap, wheel to wheel, no room for error. So of all the races you've won in your career, where does the Boomtown 500 rank?
That was a big one. That was a big one. It was funny because Chip Ganassi, he was at a big, I think it was one of their dinners for sponsorships and this and that, and so they're doing the speed, and they're like, well, the race is going on, let's turn it on. They turned it on like the last 3 laps as I passed Helio and Dare for the win, so it was like a perfect pitch for him. I got the call, but it was just, it was funny because that night I passed Little Al. It was Little Al and I that were, I beat him by 6 inches or something on the last lap, but our car, I think we had like the 18th fastest lap time of the night, so we weren't like a rocket ship. It was just right place, right time, stayed on the outside, just got some good breaks there. But actually at the time I didn't know I had won because Scheckter was leading and stalled in the pits and didn't really know the positioning because you just quite don't know it sometimes. So it was kind of a surprise almost to me at the time when they came on the radio screaming that I'd won the race, not going for second a little bit. So It's way up there. That was like my 54th IndyCar race, so it was really gratifying to get that win. It would have been kind of upsetting if I came out of IndyCars without a win, and so it really solidified me racing those cars.
As it turned out, that was your last season, and Scott Dixon ended up in that ride the following year. Any ill will or hard feelings about how it ended?
No, I love all those guys. I mean, they gave me opportunities, and I know how sponsorship works, and that's how racing is. I'm not somebody that's going to hold a grudge on anything like that.
I'm curious about 2004. It's 15 years after your last motocross race. The National Supermoto Championship comes on the scene. You were 40-something, 43, I think.
Yeah.
And you climb back on a bike and go out and win 4 championships in 5 years. Why do that? What inspired you to go back to motorcycle racing?
Scott Russell came out to California, was out at a go-kart track running a bike around the track, and called Troy Lee up, I think it was, and wanted to come out, and Troy called me, and we went out and rode this supermoto bike on the go-kart track, and I was like, this is some of the funnest stuff I've ever done. And when you race? And he's like, I think Saturday was like 2 days, and so we put a bike together from somewhere and went out there and raced, and McGrath showed up because he was out there and tried it, and then AMA started a series, and then Troy Lee started a team, and when the X Games came in, everybody wanted to run supermoto, and it was just growing leaps and bounds, and it kind of started fizzing out, but I was able to win championships and 2 gold medals in the X Games.
Supermoto ends basically for you. You're 48 years old. Not many guys are 48-year-old Rookie of the Year, but you were in the Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series. Same thing, just looked around and went, let's try that, or how did that come about?
I just got a call out of the blue from one of the team owners that had John Hara, that had an off-road truck team, and asked me would I like to come test a Pro 2 and see what he thought of it, and went out to Anza out there where they had a truck track, and just said this is great, and I did a fantastic job, and they said, do you want to drive for us? And I'm like, yeah. So it was just like a motocross bike with a cage around it, and did everything you wanted to do like a motocross bike, and so that started another couple years of running Lucas Oil Series.
On that note, we need a commercial break. We'll come back and continue our conversation with Jeff Ward. Welcome back. We're talking with Jeff Ward, who now at age, what did we say, 40?
Now?
Or now
53.
53. What car owner or motorcycle owner would you most like to have call you tomorrow and say, Jeff, I will pay you to race, fill in the blank?
Well, at my age right now, that's a good question. Probably would have to be in like off-road trucks, the Lucas Oil Series, just because of the protection in the trucks, and just my background with the dirt would probably be the best thing, and maybe Deegan. I mean, I know Deegan's a good friend, so I could be a good teammate if he's listening. But that right now, at this age, that would be something that I would do. Anything else, I think I'm too old for.
What's the racing update there on the family? Who is and who isn't, who has and who may yet be a racer?
Well, my oldest, Brandon, is doing Supermo. He came through the amateur stuff, Loretta's, the factory connection, Honda support, and moved up, just didn't make the transition, but still rides. And one of the twins, Ayrton, still has the dream and has done Loretta's and still racing, moving up each class. He's smaller than I was when I was turning pro, so it's difficult.
Wow.
So we're hoping he grows again. And then my other son is a full-time wrestler at his high school, and he's going to state this year, so he's doing really well. And then my daughter's club soccer, so we're just a busy sports family.
So, with this incredibly varied career of all the things that you've done in racing or outside of racing, what makes you the most proud?
My kids, definitely. I don't miss soccer games. I don't miss tournaments. I miss everything I have to go to their stuff. So that's the best thing. Even when when I was doing the X Games, I was doing it more for the kids because they thought the X Games was it, man. It was like, my dad's in the X Games. So,
and he's 47 years old.
So that meant more to me than winning the gold, but just knowing that they could say that at school or something. So yeah, my kids are my biggest accomplishment, and I'm just trying to get them to live their dreams and have fun.
You've got a lot to be proud of on and off the track. It's been fun to watch.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
In closing, Jeff Ward's versatility recalls the long-standing tradition of great motorcycle racers graduating to significant success on four wheels. Mike the Bike Halewood made a serious impression on Formula One. All of Jimmy Johnson's Sprint Cups share trophy room space with his motocross hardware, and three-time Grand National bike champ Joe Leonard went on to claim 2 IndyCar crowns. Then there are the what-ifs. How might four-time world motorcycle road racing champ Eddie Lawson have done in IndyCars had he not been with the right team at the wrong time? And the ultimate Italian racing fantasy springs from Valentino Rossi's flirtation with the Ferrari Formula One team. But talk of racing versatility begins and ends with John Surtees, only man ever to win the world championship on both 2 and 4 wheels, and one of my all-time favorite interviews. Sir John was at Daytona to do a ceremonial lap on his all-conquering MV Agusta. I was doing a totally unrelated video project, hustling past his pit. I spot John all suited up, grabbed the mic, asked for an interview. Be quick, he suggested. I'm about to go out and ride. I fired my first question at precisely the moment John's mechanic lit up the MV. That ear-splitting 4-cylinder roar echoed across the paddock. A rush of fans came in to see as well as hear the spectacle. John calmly finished his answer, nodded his thanks, saddled up, and rode off as I swelled with pride having interviewed such a motorsports legend, although I did not hear one word he said over the deafening howl of that incredible MV. I'm Dave Despain. That's it for this week. I'll see you next week.